Welcome back to the Shotgun Studio podcast. This is the second episode of this podcast. My name's Keith. I'm your host. And today I want to talk about YouTube and how it can be difficult, whether you're small or even a larger channel. There's a lot of things involved that can be discouraging. And there's also a lot of work that goes into just being a YouTuber. And a lot of people don't realize it at first. And then you'll see some people start it and then they get really discouraged or just don't have the time to continue with that channel and have it grow. So we'll talk about that. But first thing is the microphone that I am using this week is the Shure Super 55. It is a super cardioid dynamic microphone and it's cool. I like just the look of it. It's got that retro look, kind of like one of those Elvis mics that you would see back in the day. And I like that the built-in pop filter is blue. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, you could kind of see it on film. I'll see if I can swap it around here real quick. But you can see that blue pop filter that just really makes it visually cool. I like the look of it. It is a super cardioid, so it's really going to pick up directly in front of it and really kind of try and cancel out any noise coming in around from the side. So you got to really stay in front of this. And one downside to this microphone is just the way it mounts. So it's meant to be mounted to one of those stand-up microphone stands, and as you see, I do have it mounted to a boom arm, which is possible, but you have to get this extension. Otherwise, you can't run your XLR cable in the bottom because it's really close where the port is to where it actually mounts. So if you were to just screw this onto the boom arm, there's not enough room for that connection. So you have to get this adapter right here to give you a little bit of extra length to get that XLR port in. The other option is to use one of these desktop stands. And I got the small one because you don't need a really tall one with this because it already has a tall area here. So if you mount it, then it's going to be like way too high. But you can mount it to this tabletop stand. The only downside to this is you're kind of limited to where you can go. You have to kind of just keep it at the edge of the table and you can't really move away or lean back in your chair unless you up the gain on the microphone. But having on the boom arm is nice. It's just kind of a little more awkward than the standard microphone. So this is just kind of how I have it set up. I've seen people have it set up to where it's turned to the side and provides a little more flexibility. So since I have this set up the way I have it going vertically, you'll see that the boom arm is kind of low to the table. So I'm limited to the room I have to work with around on my desk. But for shooting a podcast, not a big deal because I don't need to do a bunch of stuff on the desk. So this is perfect. I've been using this on several episodes on my main podcast, the Workbench After Hours, and it just looks cool. I love the Shure SM7B. It sounds great. It just doesn't look that cool or intriguing, whereas this one looks cool on the podcast. So, and I do like that blue. Obviously, I like blue, so kind of goes well. So that's the microphone of the week for this podcast. I will at some point be doing a review video on this on the Shotgun Studio podcast or on the Shotgun Studio channel. It's just I want to get some time using it to give it a good, thorough review. But so far, the only complaint is just the mounting options. Other than that, as you can probably hear, it sounds pretty good. Just as long as you stay directly in front of the mic, your voice will be picked up just fine. So moving on to the main topic of YouTube and how it can be hard. And it really is at the end of the day. A lot of people start off doing it for a hobby just on the side, which is totally fine. That's what I started doing. But once you really want to start growing your channel, there's a lot of things you have to pay attention to. And one big thing with YouTube is their analytics that they give you. And I got mine pulled up on screen here. So if you see me look away, that's what I'm looking at. And when you're a smaller channel, like on the Shotgun Studio, I only have like 9 videos uploaded right now. So I have limited analytics. But on my Boomstick Tactical channel, I have like 100 and some odd videos on there. So I have a lot more videos and it ranks each video. So every time I upload a new video, it ranks it compared to all my last 10 videos and how it's doing. So if it's ranked number 1, it's doing the best out of your last 10. Or if it's ranked number 10, it's actually performing the worst. So that can be really discouraging. And that's when you have to be kind of strategic on when you upload and release a video. You don't want to do it like in the middle of the night where nobody's going to watch it for several hours because then it's just going to plummet. YouTube is going to see that, oh, nobody's watching this video, so we're not going to push it. And that's really going to affect your analytics and the AI of YouTube pushing out that video to people. So I tend to do mine typically early in the morning around 8. With the Boomstick channel, I do Fridays. This one I'm going to start doing Wednesdays. And you'll see that with that being early, it tends to not spike until later in the day, but I want to get it out there just for those people in the morning that have time. Say with our podcast, if they want to listen to it on the way to the work, they can. So every time I release a video, I try not to look too far into that ranking until like maybe the next day or so, just to see how it's performing after people have actually seen it, especially the subscribers. But after that, it really kind of gives you like these impression click through rates, the average duration, bunch of stuff that it goes into, and it can be really discouraging if you work really hard on a video, spend hours and hours on it, and then the analytics of YouTube say this video sucks, it's not doing well. So I've had that happen and still have it happen to where I upload a video and it's not doing well initially, and it's a little discouraging, but just keep it up there and eventually, people find it. One thing that you have to do, and you'll learn this if you're just getting into YouTube or have started, is really focusing on how to title your video, because that's really what's going to get your video searched for. So most people, if you have a problem or are trying to decide on a product or want to see reviews or anything, you just type in generally either in YouTube or even Google search, you know, how to run the Rodecaster Pro or Shure Super 55 review. So you want to make your title something that is searchable. So if somebody's searching a problem or a product, they can search it. So you don't want it to be like, I don't know, something random that, you know, nobody's going to know what that is and it's not going to show up in the YouTube search. Because if you're doing a review on, say, this microphone and you just say, oh, microphone review, and don't do any specifics, it's not going to come up in their search. And that's really the most important thing when you're doing videos is your title and thumbnail, because that's what people are going to see first. Having a really nice thumbnail that stands out, not too busy, but also a little more better than simple, I guess. You can get away with like just a picture of something, but having a couple words on there just to kind of tease of what the video is or the product you're showing helps. And then you really say the rest of it in your title and then even your description, because if you Google something on YouTube, it'll pick up some of those keywords in your description. And if like one of your videos is doing really popular, it'll have your video actually show up in a Google search. I've had that happen too, where, I'll look at something up and see all these YouTube videos and it kind of matches the description of their videos with that. So, um, trying to set up a video once you actually have everything filmed, ready to upload into YouTube, it doesn't stop there. The part that I hate doing the most of actually doing a video is getting it on YouTube, because you have to upload it, which can take a while, especially if you're filming in 4K and depending on how long your video is. But then you got to figure out a good catchy title. You got to do the keyword tags, and there's a lot of debate on if those really work or not. But still, it's not doesn't hurt to put in those keyword tags. So do those, and then you got to come up with obviously your thumbnail. And depending on if you have a good editing software program or not, I typically use Canva now, and it's pretty easy. But still trying to come up with a good thumbnail as well. That's after your video, so that can take time as well to get that in line. And then just doing a description, and then doing, if you're able to monetize, getting that set up, doing your end screens. If you want to reference a video and put a link to it, you got to do all that. So there's still a lot more work involved with putting a video out to YouTube other than just creating it. Once you upload it to YouTube, there is still more work to do. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize how much work actually goes into making a video, whether it be something a short video or a lengthier video. People will go on, and I'll see comments on other videos and people say, this is terrible, or just make fun of somebody, or, point out every little mistake. Well, no video is going to be perfect. Once a camera is turned on and it's recording, I go stupid. Like I forget things, I call things something else, and sometimes miss that in editing, and it can be really discouraging when people call you out on that kind of stuff um, in the comments, and you're like, oh crap, but still, you generally have hours and hours worth of your time in a video, and I don't think they realize that. Um, typically, like on the Rode Pod mic video, my recording that I did, usually I'll just start the recording and just go. So even if I mess up the intro, I'll just keep redoing it instead of having to press stop and then re-record it again. I'll just do it enough until I'm satisfied with that and then move on to the rest of the video. And I think that full length film turned out to be about 52 minutes in my Ecamm live recording. And then I edited it down to like around 13 minutes or whatever it is. Definitely under 15. So, I mean, I had an hour right there basically filming just the main part. And then you got to obviously edit the main part and then add in all your B roll. And depending on how much B roll you have, that can take a while too. And just any sort of different editing tricks that you do, that takes time and can take hours and hours to do. I tend to spend several hours just editing a video, trying to get it perfect, trying to find the right song. If you're putting music into it, can be really hard because there's so many options out there, and trying to find one that fits. I use Epidemic Sound and trying to just go through there and trying to find something that's the right length that'll kind of go through most of the video, so I'm not having to put in multiple songs, and just the right tempo and everything can be time consuming. And then putting that into the editing software and getting that all tidy down can be, again, takes time. So it really is discouraging when people kind of critique your videos after you put a lot of work into it. And I don't think that they realize, most of those people making those comments also, if you click on the thing, have no videos on their YouTube channel. So they've never made a video and doesn't know what goes into it. So there's a lot that actually goes into making a YouTube video, and it's a lot of your time to give them the information that they're searching for. So comments are another thing that make YouTube difficult. There's a lot of people out there that support you and say, "Hey, thanks for making this video. It really helped me out," which is awesome. And that makes me want to keep, doing more videos. But then you get those trolls out there and it happens to bigger channels. And I think the bigger your channel gets, the more trolls you tend to get. And they just call you out on literally everything. And it's like, man, if you don't like the video, then don't watch it. Like, I'm not forcing you to watch the video or anything. Just move on. Go find something else if you don't like it, or there's too many, I trip up on my words too much or something. So um a lot of people see that in some of these groups I'm a part of, the Video Ranking Academy. People kind of discuss some troubles that they're having on there, and a lot of it is the comments that people give, and it can be really hurtful to some people because they're putting a lot of their time into it. So that's another side of YouTube. A lot of people don't think is just how discouraging it can be after you put a lot of hard work into it with just even comments. So, and then you get, the expense of it. It's not cheap doing YouTube. Yeah, you can do stuff with just your camera, your phone camera, and that's it. But if you want to get a good quality video and production, generally you're going to have a dedicated video camera. Like I'm using the Sony ZV-E10. You're going to have some sort of microphone to give you better audio quality because it's 50% video, 50% audio. Most of the time, if you have great audio but poor video, people are going to stick around and still watch it because you sound good. But if you have great video but poor audio, most of the time people are going to listen to it because they can't understand or have a hard time hearing what you're saying. So you kind of want to balance that, but definitely for sure have good audio on your videos. Obviously, if you're doing a podcast, that's your main thing. So you want to make sure you have great audio, and so you got to have the gear to do that. I started off with the Samsung Q2U and just running through my MacBook, and that was great. It was the USB mic before I got the Rodecaster Pro, and that works. I just use my cell phone as the main camera, shot in 4K, and that's fine. But the more you get into it, the more gear that I guess you want to get better videos out there. So not only is the gear expensive or can be expensive, but also like the subscriptions that you have to get. So, like, if you want royalty free music, you have to have a subscription. So, I have one with Epidemic Sound, which is great because it has all these options out there, and you can get ones with words, without, take different sections of a song and put it up on your video or whatever you need to, and not have to worry about a copyright claim. But it's a per month subscription. And since I have two YouTube channels, I have to have two separate subscriptions. I tried to do, because I have one on my main channel, and I tried to use that same one for the Shotgun Studio channel and got a copyright claim. And I reached out to Epidemic, and they're like, yeah, for each channel, you have to have a separate subscription. So there's two different monthly things that come up. I record everything in Ecamm Live. And I love it. I use it for everything. Great for live streaming. But again, that's the subscription service, another cost. Putting your podcast out to the world, you have to generally have somebody do it. So I have Buzzsprout. Again, another subscription service. Buzzsprout's not too expensive, but still something else you got to pay per month, depending on what you're using for editing. So I know Adobe typically has a monthly membership fee. Luckily, with Final Cut Pro, you just pay for it once. It's like $300 unless you get the student option, which I did, and it's a little bit cheaper. But once you get that, pay that fee, you have Final Cut Pro forever. Adobe, you have that ongoing subscription that you have to pay, which kind of sucks. I would use Adobe products if you didn't have to pay that subscription every time. I'd much rather pay one lump fee and use it as much as I want to and not have to worry about paying per month for that, because it all adds up. And you may have just some other random subscriptions that you pay for. Some people do certain B-roll from like ArtGrid. You can get just, if you don't want to create your own B-roll, you can find royalty-free B-roll from them. Again, that's another subscription service that you have to do. And I'm sure there's more that I'm missing, but typically that's what I use. So most of mine for the YouTube is Buzzsprout, Ecamm Live, Epidemic Sound. I think there's a couple photo editing softwares that I'm paying a subscription for. I think I actually need to go back and check what I'm paying for, because I think there's some I don't use, because I was using Affinity Photo to edit my thumbnails, but that was a little too complicated for me. So, Canva. Canva is another one that I have a subscription to. You can do the free version, but you're limited to what you can do on there. There's a lot of templates that are cool, but you can't use until you're a member. So I got the top membership that they have because I use that for all my stuff. So that's another subscription that you have to have. So there's another one, Canva. And even the more you progress, the more I progress in iMovie, I tend to buy add-ons. So that's another cost involved. Just adds a little more editing and stuff that you can do within Final Cut Pro. But then that's another cost. And most of the add-ons are not cheap. So um, running a YouTube channel is not cheap, especially if you want it to grow and get better. Most people, YouTube, you would think, because it's called YouTube, you can do whatever you want. If you want to do a video on how to drill a hole in the wall, but then do a microphone review, and then maybe say, do a video on your motorcycle or whatever, you could do that and have it all on one channel. But realistically, if you want your channel to grow, you have to really niche down, which kind of sucks. And which is why I went to two different channels, because, one channel I wanted to focus on the firearm stuff, but then I wanted to branch out on some of this other stuff with the gear and production side of things. But that doesn't fit within that main channel. So, if somebody's coming to watch a microphone review, they're probably not necessarily interested into our gun videos that we have or anything that we talk about over there, which they'll still watch that video. But if you want your channel to grow, you need those subscribers to help grow your channel. So they may watch that video, but they're not going to subscribe because they don't want to watch any of your other videos. So generally, and like me, if you see a channel and you like one video, then you kind of go through and see if, there's any other videos that you like on their channel. And if you watch them, then it's like, okay, maybe I'll subscribe to this channel because I do like the content that they're creating. But it's typically something that you're interested in and related to whatever you were searching for. So again, you can't really have just all these random videos and then expect your channel to grow. Some people may be able to get away with that, but for the vast majority of people, you really have to focus on one niche, one thing, and then just keep making videos based on that, which is fine, especially if you find a niche that you're really passionate about. I have a business with firearms. I really like them. So that's great over there. But with YouTube, there's a lot of guidelines that I have to follow and then not really allowed to monetize a whole lot. So yeah, I have the subscribers. I'm getting subscribers every day on that channel. But as far as, keeping it growing at a faster rate or potentially making any money off that channel, probably not going to happen. Whereas if I do Shotgun Studio and I still like the production side of stuff and want to talk more about that, do reviews on all the equipment, everything. That's not really something that YouTube's against, and a lot easier to monetize once you hit that goal of the 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 watch hours. But yeah, just trying to find a niche that you want to focus on, where some people will say like getting 3D printing and do as many videos as they can, but then they kind of run out of things to do and then want to start something else, which is fine, but you got to find a way to incorporate that into the channel. And you may lose subscribers if they're not interested into the new stuff that you're making. So it's when you're starting a channel, you really want to research and figure out what you want your channel to be about, and can you make enough videos and keep that going as your channel grows. So a lot of things to think about when you're starting a channel. And then obviously there's the kind of branding side of things that you have to do. You have to create your banner, which is the biggest pain in the butt. When I started the second channel and had to do another banner, I'm like, oh, that's the one thing I was really not looking forward to, was doing a new channel banner, because that's difficult to try and get this one picture to look good on a mobile phone, a desktop, and then a TV, because there's different sizes. And so you got to get it just right to where on the phone you get like your channel name and the main thing you want, but then you're not going to fit everything in that. And then, yeah, it's just a pain in the butt. So doing that, doing your profile picture, doing a description, it all takes time, thought, and effort that goes into it. Especially, like I said, if you want your channel to grow, you want to set it up right the first time. Obviously, as you learn things, you could go back and adjust it. I've changed my channel banner and profile picture several times and redone the description on the main channel several times, and it's fun because it adapts as you grow, and it's just something that you got to be aware of. To, if somebody comes to your channel, you want them to see what that channel is going to be about, get some little information about you, maybe even how to contact you if you're asking for people to reach out. Hopefully I'm not scaring anybody away from starting a channel. There's just a lot of things that you got to think about, and you'll eventually learn. You'll figure it out yourself once if you're deciding to even start a channel or have that on your radar, or are, just starting a channel. There's a lot of things that come up. Obviously, when you're starting a channel, you don't have as many analytics, so it's not going to rank your videos. Like on my Shotgun Studio, I only have 9, like I've said. So I don't have that ranking 1 out of 10 yet. But that will be something that comes down the road as I have at least 10 videos. I'm assuming once you have 10 videos, that's when that starts. But just seeing, being a smaller channel, once you put a video out, don't expect to get a lot of views, because YouTube's not going to throw that out to the world as much as a bigger channel that may be doing the same thing. People got to find you. You got to get those views up, but just keep uploading videos. And eventually, as your channel grows in like content, the subscribers will come, it'll get views. And once people actually find your channel, you'll get subscribers that way. So just don't get discouraged that if you throw up a video that you worked really hard on and it's not getting too many views, that'll happen with time. You just, have to get the audience to come to your channel. So once YouTube and AI analytics and everything starts pushing out your videos with the more content that you have, um, those views will eventually go up. And people, like, even if you have a video on there 5 years, people are still probably going to search that. I have videos that I did 8 or 9 years ago on the main channel that are still my most popular. The production of those videos absolutely suck, but people are still using those because it helps them for whatever they needed on that video, and still getting comments on those. So, even though it's not getting a lot of views now, it may eventually get views as your channel grows and more people come and see it. I think a lot of people that start YouTube kind of think that it's going to be like, say, TikTok, that you're going to get a lot of views if you put something out. But in reality, TikTok is something that you're doing short form. The videos generally aren't that long, and you're just scrolling through, a feed, and you're able to watch a ton of videos in a short amount of time. I can't tell you how many hours my wife spends per day watching all these TikTok videos because they're short and you can go through a lot. And you may put out a TikTok that's getting hundreds or thousands of views, and then you post something on YouTube and it's not getting those type of views. It's because YouTube is more of a longer form content, and so it's going to take more to get people to watch those videos, especially long videos, because generally you're making those videos for a purpose, and you need certain people to watch those videos, so it's going to take them longer to find it unless you're really good at titling your videos and everything and getting those out there. I know YouTube is doing the shorts. I'm not a fan of the shorts. I'd rather watch like a full video in the normal widescreen shot than the up and down. I just hate that. But that's just me personally. Some people prefer shorter form content like that, but I'd rather watch a good production video that's going to be longer, get more information out of that video than just the short, oh, hey, this is how you do one thing. And it's like, okay, well, you could expand on that, but you're limited to whatever it is, like 30 seconds to maybe a minute on a short, I think. But if I haven't scared you away yet with all these negatives or sounding how terrible starting a channel is, it's actually there's a good side to it, I promise. And really it's the fact that you can create whatever you want to. So you can make a video on, whatever you feel like. If you have a hobby and you just want to start recording your hobby, like, or even doing vlogging, and just something to do, then post it up there. Even if people don't watch it, that's still there. You can go back and watch it, or have your buddies go back and watch it. And then if it's something that you actually want to really grow, then you actually get to learn a lot of cool things. Like, I've learned a lot about video and audio production. I've gotten way better at editing videos than I used to be, because like I said, I used to edit in just the YouTube studio that they had back in the day, and now I'm pretty good, I guess, at Final Cut Pro. Still learning, trying to get better with every video, and it's just really cool to learn that stuff and get better in something that you normally wouldn't if you don't ever start a YouTube channel. And making YouTube videos also helps you appreciate other people that are making videos. So if you're watching somebody's video after you've made one, you're like, all right, I kind of understand what goes into this and how much time he or she probably put in it. So I'm not going to comment and be like, oh, you messed up here, blah, blah, blah. Like, hey, good job. Thanks for the information or whatever. You're more likely to appreciate the content that people are putting out, unless it's just real garbage. Then, what can you do? But some people just post videos from their phone that are terrible, and just don't watch or comment on those. But somebody that you could tell put a lot of time and effort into it. I at least like that video. You don't necessarily have to comment, but even the likes help a channel in the video performance of those. But really getting to learn all that cool stuff, and just the journey of it is really fun, especially if you do a podcast, because I don't know, it's just something fun. And I know, even if I don't get a lot of listeners, it's just kind of fun to do, especially with my main podcast where I get my two co-hosts and maybe even another guest. There's three or four of us talking about the topic and whatever, trying a different whiskey every week, which is really cool. Where normally we probably wouldn't do that or even get to hang out. So we have a dedicated night per week where we get to hang out, try a new whiskey that we probably wouldn't get to try otherwise, and get to hang out. And I get to practice with my video editing and the audio stuff as well. So it's really cool. And then also, as you grow and grow with the gear and upgrade your gear, I mean, getting new gear is fun. Like, I loved getting the Rodecaster Pro 1. And now that I have the Rodecaster Pro 2, it's cool because I get to kind of learn it and see cool things I can do with this. Microphones, I'll probably do another video or even a podcast on this, but I've gotten a lot of microphones. Started off with the Samsung Q2U and have, I think, the last time I counted was 13. I think I mentioned that on the last podcast. I'll have to go back and actually count. But I still have like more in my site that I want. They're in my Amazon cart, but I'm like, do I really need them right now? Like I want them, but do I need them right now? But just getting to try out different gear for me, it's microphones because they each one has a different sound to them and different look. So I like switching them out for the looks, especially since we do a video podcast. It's one thing to have the same microphone. Like if you want to have the same microphone in all your videos, that's cool. I just like trying different ones out, seeing what they sound like, and especially depending on who I'm having, because like with the Rode Pod mic, it's very heavy on the high end and not so much the low end. So if I know I'm going to have somebody on with a deeper voice, maybe I'll give them the pod mic because that'll fit them better than say the, you know, Shure SM7B that has a little bit more bass. So getting to fit a microphone to a person's kind of cool, and just I don't know, the gear is cool. Like that shelf back behind me is now full of microphones and whiskey from that podcast. So it's YouTube's fun. It's just don't get discouraged at analytics initially, or if your channel is not growing. Like it takes forever to get to even 100 subscribers. um my main channel, I don't even remember how long it took me to get to 1,000. It took a long time, although I took a long break in between. But once I started it up, it took quite a while to get to 1,000. And with the Shotgun Studio, I only have, before that I upload this podcast, I only have 9 videos out. So 9 videos, I'm not expecting it to grow like crazy. Like I need to put out more and more content, just keep making videos. And as I make more videos, I know the channel will grow on its own, but it just takes time. And if you realize that it takes time and don't get too involved in analytics at first, you'll be fine. Obviously, if you have a big channel, you're making a lot of money, you have all these sponsorships and stuff, then yeah, that's when the analytics you want to pay attention to. And there's a lot more stuff with that, but that's down the road. And I'm sure by that time you've got it figured out, or whatever. But big content creators still struggle with analytics because they'll have a great month one month, and then they'll put a video out and it won't be as popular as their other ones. And I've seen them talk about that they get discouraged when they see a video that they thought was really good and they worked hard on, but YouTube analytics is saying, hey, this video is not performing as well compared to your others. And then of course if you're being monetized, you're making less money at that point. So it's just, you gotta learn from it. Maybe be like, okay, so maybe I shouldn't be doing videos, as many videos like that, but then looking at your more popular videos and maybe doing more stuff like that, and just kind of doing a trial and error, seeing what people like to see. You can really tell by comments on, if people comment on your videos what they like or what they like about that, and incorporate that into your next video. Or maybe they'll ask you to make another video about such product or how to do something. So that's really cool. That'll give you ideas as well. And another really cool thing about YouTube is you kind of meet people that way, or build a community. I know a lot of the bigger channels have like with Tom Buck, who I kind of base a lot of my stuff on now. And he's built a community on his channel, and it's usually the same people that are commenting, and they do the Q&As on his podcast. And I'm in there, just create more community, kind of a, you have to apply to be a part of it, but it's a bunch of creators that kind of learn from each other and how to do things. And it's just really cool that, normally people that you would not know or even talk to, you can kind of collaborate with on stuff and get their input. You give them input, and it's just kind of cool how things work that way. You hear all the time of like other creators and stuff getting together to do a videos, and it's generally two people that would never have met before or anything like that. So, and then it gives you a lot of opportunities, especially once your channel gets bigger, for sponsorships, or to work with brands and stuff like that. So you can eventually maybe turn it into a job or a side hustle or something like that. if you put in the work and just try not to get too discouraged. Just do what you got to do, learn from your mistakes, and just keep creating. So that's, yeah, kind of the good and bad things of YouTube. And yeah, so hopefully I didn't discourage you with all the bad stuff, and hopefully kind of re-encouraged you with all the good stuff. But it's a journey. Your first video is probably going to be your worst video, and then you'll just get better as you learn. I know my first videos were terrible. And then once I really got serious and started researching how to make better videos, they've naturally gotten better, and you'll get better at using programs and editing equipment and using your camera, using whatever gear you have. Even if you have minimal gear, say you don't have any lighting, then you'll kind of learn how to use natural lighting to light your videos and stuff like that. So you don't need all the expensive stuff right away. Learn with what you have, and then what maybe you're lacking in your production and can add to it if you can. And I know, one thing that made my stuff a lot better initially was lighting. Um, you want to have good lighting in your videos. So even if you're just using your phone, which is, I mean, they're not free, but you're not paying any extra because you're going to have your phone anyway. But then maybe investing in some lighting. I think the lights I have were under 200 bucks, and I think the soft boxes with those were another 20. But just those with the regular stands definitely improved my video quality, because it's all about the lighting with that. If you have poor lighting and people can't see what they're looking at or what you're talking about, then they may not get as many views, or they may not watch the video all the way throughout. You got to really remember to try and keep the audience, and you'll learn ways to do that instead of mainly doing like a talking head like I'm doing in this video podcast. Adding in b-roll, switching up camera angles, just doing stuff to keep the audience's attention, because that's another analytic. It'll show your audience retention and how long most people watch that video. You'll obviously see a decline in it as the video goes through, because most people generally don't watch the whole video all the way through, or if they know it's ending, then it just kind of stops, because that's when people stop watching, don't always watch to the end, or maybe they'll skip through the intro. So you definitely, if you're doing intros, and I've learned this too, kind of keep them short. Don't elaborate on it too much. People, from what I've learned, just want you to get straight to the point. Like, don't start out a video be like, hey, this is what this video is going to be about, and go on like a 2-minute rant, and then also talk about why you took so long, or something in your life or anything, and then get into it. It's like, do something really quick, simple, and then get into it. I mean, that's, if you've watched videos, that's kind of how you are. You don't want to hear this long, drawn out intro, and then finally 5 minutes down into it, they get to the point. So kind of keep that in mind on, if you were to be, if you were to watch this video, how would you want it structured? So that's what I try and keep in mind too. I definitely, anybody that comments, try and keep any positive feedback in mind, or I just try to ignore those people that are just rude to be rude. But so you gotta be able to do that. You got to be able to just kind of ignore those people that just give you nasty comments, because that's going to happen. I mean, everybody should be used to that now with social media. You always have those keyboard, I forgot what people call them, but those people sit in their mom's basements that are just, dishing out all this trash talk, but they're not doing anything productive on their end. So again, the funny thing is, most of the time you see a bad comment and you click on their channel, they have no videos. So they have no idea all the work that goes into it. So, and you could tell the people that do know how much work goes into it, maybe they will give you some constructive feedback, but in a nice way. So I like those comments too, because, if it's constructive feedback and it's something that you can learn from, then cool. Pay attention to those too. So yeah, there's a lot to YouTube. You'll learn it. You'll figure it out for yourself. But the main thing is, don't get discouraged. You don't necessarily need all those subscriptions that I have. If it makes sense, then do it. So, if you want to use Ecamm Live, pay that subscription, and it'll definitely help your workflow process. I have to do a lot less editing with Ecamm, and I'd never have to pull the SIM card out of my camera because everything gets directly recorded to my computer. So I could just take that file. So for me, the less work I have to do stuff, that subscription kind of pays for itself. So, um, yeah. So, but even with Buzzsprout, if you're doing an audio podcast, it's a pain in the butt to set up initially, and you'll see this on a video that's coming out next week. I do my podcast workflow mainly for my main channel, but I also do the same thing with this one, but just me instead of having to set up for, 2 or 3 other people that's going to be on the show. But the process is the same. So you'll see what I use and hopefully get some information from that. But just start off with whatever gear you need and don't be afraid to do it. Just jump in and you'll learn as you go and just, yeah, do it. It's really fun. There'll be times where you get discouraged and maybe need to take a break. Fine, take a break. Just because you want to do a video a week, if you kind of starting to get burnt out, take that break and take a breather. Maybe kind of rethink some things. Don't kill yourself over trying to make a YouTube channel grow. If that's what's going on, take a break. Like I did. I took that several year break in between my channels to where I really didn't want anybody I knew when I had a YouTube channel, just because I didn't want them to judge me or think I was doing stupid stuff. So once you get past that and really don't care about people seeing your stuff, chances of them seeing your stuff, unless you tell them, I don't know, they may or may not even know that you have a YouTube channel. But I know for the most part, if you do tell them, they'll kind of be encouraging about that. So you just need to get out of your head, really, and just hit that record button and upload it, and you'll kind of realize that it's kind of fun and cool, and may start out as a hobby, and then if you get really good at it, may be able to make some money out of it. I know that's what a lot of people go into at first, is just wanting to make it for money, and those channels tend not to do well because you got to have like a passion for it and be able to really, really work for it in order to get to that point. So you got to put in the work before that pays off. There are people that, are the opposite to that and the ones that get really lucky. But for the most part, most channels are not going to take off like, somebody like Casey Neistat or something. They're not going to take off that quick and make millions of dollars off of like Mr. Beast or anything. So there's that opportunity to grow, but it just takes time. So hopefully that was some useful information and I didn't ramble too much on this. So yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode. Again, like I said, this is going to be a bi-weekly podcast, one every other Wednesday. And I'll try and post a regular video in between that if I can and have the time to. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know down in that comment section. And check us out on the main channel, the Boomstick Tactical LLC, or even the Workbench After Hours podcast. Check that out as well. If you're listening on Spotify, hit that like and follow button. If you're on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.